Alright, so what you're looking at here, guys, is the first Peter Austin system in the United States. When you go to breweries now, you don't really see the old brick tanks and the old wooden mash tuns anymore. This is kind of a staple of what English brewing was for so long. How you doing, folks? Welcome to Gearys. So when D.L. Geary decided he wanted to brew beer in Maine, he was in love with pale ale. That is his favorite style of beer, and in order to brew an authentic pale ale, he went over to the UK and studied for 3 years, from '83 to '86, while his wife Karen was here raising money to open this place. And at the time, it was kind of a pioneering idea. There were only 13 or 14 craft breweries in the US, most of them in California and the West Coast, Colorado. Here he is now. This is Mr. Geary.
Yeah, I know him. Not well.
So he was basically the first east of the Rocky Mountains to set up a brewery of this size, doing this kind of craft, spending more time on the process and the ingredients, and trying to make something that was really special and really unique and really Maine, but with mostly English influence. So while you're drinking this beer, the goal that they're going for is a balance between the malts and the hops and the yeast. They do a couple IPAs, none of them are going to be those super bright, juicy IPAs right now that are so popular. Because in the English tradition, pale ale is kind of a little more subtle, a little more balanced. It's a classic, simple beer. And that's what DL wanted to do, and that's what they've been doing for 30 years. So what goes on here, behind you guys, that 24-barrel mash tun, this was the first tank that they brewed on 30 years ago, and it's still the one that they use every day. Basically, there's a silo full of pale malted barley outside. All of in this building full of about 60,000 pounds of grain. And when they're about to brew, they'll send it into the PVC pipe, measure it out from one of the grist mills, and break it open, kind of crush it, as if you're making a batch of coffee going into the center. Then they pump it into one of these, fill it probably 75% of the way full, up to about 3,000 pounds of grain. Stir it up, get their blend right, and then add hot water. What that does is it starts activating the enzymes, which turn the starches and the grain into simple sugars so that it's digestible and fermentable to the yeast. So they say brewers make wort and yeast makes beer. And that makes a lot of sense. This is a big part of the brewer's job, is getting this grain recipe right. The more sugar you're able to extract, the more alcohol you can get out of your beer later on. So it gets pretty hot in here during this part of the brewing process. And when it's all said and done, about an hour and a half later, the brewers have to climb in, scoop out all that spent grain, which we ship off to a farmer who takes it to his cows. Harpoon Brewery in Boston makes their pretzels out of the spent grain. It's another way you can use it. But what the brewers are really after, like I said, is the sugar content of the grain. So that's called wort, that hot liquid. They pump the wort out into one of the kettles and start bringing it up to a boil. And at this point, the reason they boil it is to sterilize it and also to start adding the hop. So you have a kind of a window of about an hour, a little over an hour and a half for a boil of this size. The hops you add early on in the boil are going to contribute to the bitterness of the beer. And then you have your flavor hops come next, and those will change the way that your taste feels in your mouth. And the aroma hops, you kind of slip those hops in at the last 10 to 15 minutes of the boil. So they don't have as much time in the boil, but they still smell really fresh and give a lot of flavor. So this is where the brewers get creative with the recipe and make sure that they are achieving that balance between the bitterness of the hops and the sweetness of the grain. So that's what they're going for at this stage. Does that have any questions so far? Making sense? Yeah, natural gas on heat. And that's why you see the brick, because back in the day, hundreds of years ago, it was probably a wood fire underneath, and the brick was a great insulator to keep it hot and be able to bring it up to a boil faster. Nowadays, it's kind of a hybrid between the old school brick and having that nice gas burn. Like I said, this is the first Peter Austin brewing system in the United States, so it's pretty cool to think that we're still using it. They've been making beer for hundreds of years in Europe. Kind of just picked up an English brew house and plopped it in for me. If you guys are familiar with Shipyard and Gearys downtown, they're also starting Peter Austin system back in the day. So it was kind of Gearys was first, and then Shipyard and Gearys popped up. And a guy named Alan Pugsley, who's a big name in the brew, he's the one who helped Gearys set this place up and consulted him. He was the head brewer here for a while. He went on the Shipyard where he was the head brewer. a brewable thumper in the United States. He was kind of the stood of that recipe. I think after 40th birthday. So it's pretty cool to talk with DL Geary about how far the craft beer world has come. Because in the 90s, when this was really taking off and expanding, everybody wanted to have beers. Nowadays, there are 4,000 craft breweries in the United States. People are more grown in South Carolina to drink a local South Carolina beer. So it's kind of a battle right now in the market, which is pretty exciting. We have to keep changing up our recipes and trying new things and keep people interested. We have the loyal Gearys lovers who are from Maine, like you said. Pale ale is definitely the unofficial mascot for it. So yeah, there's a lot of new beer being made in town. So it's cool to just get to know what each brewery's doing differently. It's a pretty good time for craft beer, I'd say. Follow me this way, guys. The next step of the process is the fermentation, which is when your wort turns into beer. Our spice rack over here. So, like I was saying, about 3,000 pounds of pale malted barley for a batch of 24 barrels of beer. These specialty malts, though, if you're trying to get a little more bitterness or a little more sweetness, they also contribute to the color of the beer. HSA's got a lot of the crystal malt in it, and I bet you can tell what kind of beer you make out of that. Stouts and the porters, something with a nice dark cocoa or coffee flavor. You can take a pinch of this stuff and try it if you like. Taste a little bit of the bitterness and a little bit of the sweetness too in that crystal malt. Would you like to try some? I can see making like a brewer's trail mix out of it or something.
Yeah. Stomach's gonna be a brewery by the end of the day. So.
Yeah, no worries. Now you don't want to eat this, but you can definitely smell these hops. The pelletized hops are the ones that we add right into the boil. We also have leaf hops, which are dehydrated at this stage, but when you add hot water to them, it kind of brings them back to life like a tea. It escapes and adds its bitterness and its aroma. Hand this around. Just take a whiff of that. You don't want to eat those though. Cascade is, I think, the most popular hop being used right now. It smells like an IPA to most people. But even if you're brewing a porter or a stout, it has some hopping element to it. Not only as a preservative, but as that bittering agent to balance out the sweetness. Cheers, guys. So we've got our water from Sebago. We've got our grain shipped over from Germany. Our hops, West Coast. And our yeast, we've still been using the same batch of starter yeast that DL brought back from Ringwood Brewery in 1986. So ever since then, Gearys has not stopped brewing, literally. They scoop yeast off of one batch into the next. So it's kind of like friendship bread or grandma's sourdough or whatever. You just keep using that starter and it tastes the same 30 years later, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna bring you guys up here to the fermenters. Don't drop your camera in. So like I was saying with the traditional aspect of this brewery, the way they try to keep the old brewing methods alive, we're one of the only breweries in the US that is still completely 100% open fermenting all of our beer. So what you're gonna see is actually the yeast going to work right on top of that wort. When you add the yeast, it starts eating the sugar, the stuff that we taste right now, and turning it into beer. 5 days later, you've got your 5% or 6% ale. Lagers take a lot longer. The yeast is kind of floating around at the bottom and they have to be a lot cooler. This stuff though is really fast acting. It's a really aggressive yeast strain. And like I said, they scoop 40 pounds of it off of one and add it to the next and get it going. So check it out, guys. It's a little slippery, watch your step. So what you're looking at here, guys, like I was saying, this is the yeast starting to ferment the beer. They just added this batch. The other stuff you can see has got a couple more days to go.
Yummy.
This is where your beer is born. You can see the residue on the side of that one. That's how high it raises up. Kind of like, bread expands a little bit. And then it sinks back down as the yeast goes dormant once it eats all its sugar. Ferments it into alcohol. The other byproducts of this process are heat, which is why you can see the temperature control coils. Those are pumped with cold water. You want to keep it at about 68 or 70 degrees during the fermentation. and CO2, which is why this method is so cool. It actually, the fermentation itself protects the beer underneath. Carbon dioxide being a toxic gas, pests stay away, bacteria can't survive in it. So as it ferments, it's protecting itself, and that's why you might get a little lightheaded up here. Not as much oxygen as usual. Yeah, any questions about this fermentation, guys? Takes about, like I said, 4 or 5 days in the tank.
Are these all different beers?
Yeah, I can tell which beers they are usually by the color of that residue up on the side. Like that one's a lot darker, so I'm thinking that might be the HSA or something with a little bit of that dark grain in it. And then this stuff looks a little bit lighter, so it could be our pale ale or something like that. Versus that one over there is probably the porter. All right, guys, you can follow me down this way if you want. No, that's a great question. The next step of the process is the filtration, and they actually chill it because that helps with cleaning the beer a lot too. So that's a great segue into the next room, guys. So the final step of the beer process is the conditioning. This is where the science of it is a little bit over my head, but I'll do my best. Basically, when you start chilling the beer, it does a lot of the filtering for you because the bright beer is left on top, and all the proteins and yeast that might have snuck through start clumping together and falling down to the bottom. So then they pump the bright beer from one tank through a few different filtering methods, and then into another tank where they chill it even further down to about 40 degrees, I think, and that's the bottling tank. That's where they prep it, test it, quality control, make sure it tastes right, and also carbonate it as well. They force carbonate it with a carbonation stone, and then it's ready for the bottling line, which is actually around the corner if you guys want to check it out. You want to see where we package it? All right, let's do it. So that middle room of the factory used to be an old t-shirt shop, and when Gearys expanded in the early 90s, they actually built this last wing on. You can see that was the end of the building before. So this is where we do all our packaging and our bottling. It's all in-house, always has been. They basically ship us these clean bottles. We bring it onto the rinser table and sterilize them, once again, just to make sure that everything's clean going in. They get sent down around the corner there. Follow me this way to the road. And this is the filling station. This machine operates at, I think, 130 to 150 bottles a minute. So it's cranking, it's really loud, really fast, really dangerous. There's a couple guys at each station. They start at about 6 in the morning. They're done usually in the afternoon. Watching the bottles go by, make sure everything is working properly. These valves right here, one side pumps a lot of CO2 into the bottle, getting rid of all the oxygen. The other side fills it with beer, and then it overflows, and they cap it on the foam. That's a good sign. That means there's only beer and CO2 in the bottle. A couple guys here, quality control. Make sure everything's got 12 fluid ounces. Bottles get cleaned off again, and then this is the labeling machine. Just painted this one pink, breast cancer awareness. Karen Geary passed away a few years ago, and they're going to do a run of beer for her and donate all the proceeds to breast cancer research, which is cool. I haven't tried the beer yet, but they're getting ready. The pink box is over there. It's called KKG. So that's why that's bright pink right now. And then the stickers get painted on each bottle. Comes around this side. You can see these brushes kind of paint it as the bottle is spinning so that all the sides are nice and flat. And then, if you can believe it, there's about 6 guys standing around this table. They're the final step in making sure all the beer looks right, and then they grab 6 at a time, which I don't really know how they do. And they pack it into the boxes. So it's all hand packaged. Someone built all these boxes, and obviously it's hand glued shut as well, and stamped with the date. So from start to finish, it is a very small-time operation, family-run business still, DL still here, making sure everything's going all right. And it's pretty cool to see this place in action because they've been doing it for so long. They're a well-oiled machine. When it comes to cans, though, you can see all those empty cans behind you. We don't have our own canning machine. We call up Ironheart. They service a lot of breweries around town. They show up with their mobile canning machine, and we plug in a line of beer for them, and they are able to fill 2 pallets worth in 7 or 8 hours. So that's